What if the one person you lost forever suddenly appeared again standing right in front of you, as if nothing had ever changed? That's exactly what happens in Heartland Season 19, Episode 1, when Borden, a character fans thought was gone for good, makes a shocking return that leaves Amy and the viewers speechless. But is it really him, or something else? The story of Heartland isn't just about horses or ranch life. At its core, it's a story about love, loss, healing, and holding on to hope even when it hurts. And no relationship in Heartland has touched fans more deeply than the one between Amy Fleming and Borden. Their love story carried the show for over a decade, and when Ty tragically died in Season 14, it sent a shockwave through the Heartland world. Viewers were heartbroken, and many even stopped watching the show altogether. His death felt too real, too sudden, and too unfair for Amy, for their daughter Lindy, and for the fans who grew up with them. Season 14 to 18 saw Amy try to rebuild her life. She poured herself into raising Lindy and running the ranch, often putting her own feelings last. There were moments when she smiled, when she found strength, but the sadness in her eyes never fully left. Every time she passed the barn, every time she rode a horse, every time she tucked Lindy into bed, Ty's absence was there. Like a shadow she couldn't shake. Heartland didn't rush Amy's healing. The writers gave her time, just like real grief needs time. We saw her struggle with the idea of moving on. We saw her push away new relationships. We saw her lean on Jack, Lou, and Lisa. And we also saw her grow not by forgetting Ty, but by learning to live in a world without him. This slow, careful pacing made fans believe that Ty's story had truly ended. That there would be no surprise returns, no miracles, but then Season 19 begins. And from the very first episode, everything changes. At the start of Season 19, Episode 1, we see Amy going through a normal day at the ranch. The scene feels peaceful, even ordinary. Lindy is playing nearby, and Amy is grooming a horse in the barn just like she has 100 times before. The wind rustles the trees, the horses snort softly, and there's a calm that feels familiar, but then something shifts. The camera lingers. The music drops to a quiet hum. Amy stops what she's doing and turns slowly, as if sensing something she can't explain. And there he is. Ty Borden, standing a few feet away, looking exactly like the man we remember, strong, calm, kind. No words are spoken, at least not right away. Amy just stares. Her eyes widen, her mouth opens slightly, but no sound comes out. She's frozen, caught between disbelief and hope, and we, the audience, are right there with her trying to understand what we're seeing. Is this real? Is Ty actually back? Or is it a dream, a vision, a memory from deep within Amy's heart? The show doesn't give us an answer right away. Instead, it lets the moment breathe. There's no fast cut, no sudden explanation, just raw emotion. The camera holds on Amy's face as she begins to cry, not out of sadness, but from the overwhelming wave of love and confusion crashing over her. It's one of the most powerful moments in Heartland history, and it sets the tone for an episode that is full of emotional depth and mystery. This is not just about Ty returning. It's about what his return means for Amy, for Lindy, for all of us who have loved and lost. Have you ever experienced a moment so unexpected, so emotionally overwhelming, that the entire world seemed to pause around you? That's what happens in Season 19, Episode 1 of Heartland, when Ty Borden steps into Amy's world again. No warning, no sound of footsteps. Just the quiet thud of her heart as her eyes lock onto the impossible. The scene doesn't rely on drama or music to heighten the moment, it lets silence speak. Amy is brushing a horse, the same barn where she once stood beside Ty almost every day. There's a natural rhythm to her routine. Her sleeves are rolled up, her hair is loose, she's focused. And then something changes. She senses it before. We do dot asterisk she turns. Asterisk and Ty is there. Asterisk not in a blur. Not as a flashback. He's standing right there in front of her. And what makes it even more powerful is that Amy doesn't run to him, scream, or even speak. Her body freezes, but her face tells the entire story. This is not a casual surprise. This is the return of a ghost or a miracle. Asterisk his eyes meet hers, soft but steady. The kind of look Ty always had, grounded, gentle, but full of quiet strength. He doesn't smile, he doesn't cry. He just looks at her, like no time has passed. Asterisk, and in that second, we don't know what's real anymore. Asterisk for fans who lived through Ty's death in season 14. This moment is surreal. The heartbreak of losing him wasn't just part of the show, it was personal. Watching Amy walk through grief for multiple seasons was like watching a piece of yourself try to heal. That's what makes his return so hauntingly beautiful. It's not just a twist, it's an emotional collision between memory and reality. Asterisk, the show doesn't spoon-feed us answers. We're not told if this is a dream, a spiritual vision, or something else. And that choice is deliberate. Instead of jumping into exposition, the writers let the moment feel real, intimate, almost sacred. Asterisk, Amy steps forward slowly, eyes full of tears. She whispers his name, not loudly, not with shock, but like someone saying a prayer they never thought would be answered. Ty, it's the softest line in the episode, and yet it hits the hardest. Because it's not just Amy who's speaking, it's all of us, the fans. The people who've held onto the idea that maybe, just maybe, Ty wasn't truly gone. Asterisk, then, the moment shifts again. Ty walks toward her. He lifts his hand as if to touch her face, but before he can, the screen cuts to black. No answer, no resolution, just silence. Asterisk, this deliberate pause is where the episode holds its power. It leaves space for interpretation. Is Ty back in the flesh? Is Amy dreaming him into existence? Or is this a memory surfacing at the perfect, most painful time? Asterisk, social media exploded with reactions when this aired. Fans weren't just surprised, they were shaken. Some believed this was a sign Ty might return in more episodes. Others saw it as Amy's inner mind finally allowing herself to see him again, to remember him not in pain, but in peace. One theory even suggests that Ty is a spiritual presence watching over her, and this moment is the first time she's truly felt him since his death. Asterisk, whatever the truth is, one thing is clear. This return wasn't written for shock value. It was crafted with care, with emotion, with reverence for the history these characters share. It respects Ty's legacy while also honoring Amy's journey. Asterisk, because the moment Ty appears, we're reminded of something we all try to forget: grief doesn't follow a straight path. Sometimes healing looks like moving forward. Other times, it means looking back and facing the love you lost head on. Asterisk, Ty's return isn't just a scene. It's a mirror showing us how love lingers, how loss transforms us, and how memory can sometimes feel more real than reality itself. Asterisk, and now, the question remains, what happens next? Asterisk. Some memories don't fade. They live inside you like a heartbeat, quiet, steady, and always present. You don't see them coming. You don't prepare for them. But one day, without warning, they step out of the shadows and look you in the eyes. And suddenly, you're not in control anymore. That's what happens to Amy in this moment. After Ty appears, however briefly, the wave finally hits. And it's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's the kind of breakdown that's so real, so human, it almost feels like you're watching someone in real life, not on a screen. Amy doesn't scream or fall to the floor. Instead, she stands there, frozen. Her chest rises and falls too quickly. Her lips tremble. Her eyes search the space in front of her like she's trying to hold on to something slipping away. And then her body starts to shake, not from fear, but from the force of every emotion she's held in for years. She whispers his name again, but it sounds different this time. It's not a question. It's not a cry. It's a surrender. as if saying it might bring him closer or at least keep the moment from ending. The pain in Amy's eyes is layered. It's not just the grief of losing Ty. It's the guilt of surviving, the confusion of seeing him again, the exhaustion of holding everything together for Lindy, for the ranch, for herself. For seasons now, we've watched Amy carry her sorrow quietly, with strength and silence. But here, in this one moment, it all breaks through. She walks back to the house in a daze. Her boots scrape the ground. Her hands are shaking. And when she finally steps inside, she collapses onto the couch, not dramatically, just slowly, as if her body has decided it's done pretending that, and then come the tears. They're not the kind you wipe away quickly. They're deep, silent sobs that come from somewhere buried. The kind of crying that doesn't need sound to be loud. Her body curls inward, almost like she's protecting herself from the memory that just surfaced. Her breath is uneven, her eyes unfocused. This isn't just sadness, it's release. For Amy, seeing Ty even for a moment pulled back everything she's been trying to manage. His voice, his smell, the way he used to hold her hand, the plans they made for their daughter, all of it comes back in a rush so powerful. She can't speak, she just lets it come. And what makes this so heartbreakingly beautiful is that Amy doesn't try to fight it. She lets herself feel. After years of being strong, of staying composed for everyone else, she finally lets her heart do what it needs to do fall apart. There's a framed photo of Ty on the shelf beside her. We see her eyes drift toward it through the blur of tears. And for a moment, she smiles, not a happy smile, but the kind you give someone when you're grateful and broken at the same time. As if she's saying, I miss you, I love you, and I don't know how to keep going without you. It's a moment that speaks to anyone who has ever lost someone they loved. Because grief doesn't follow rules. It doesn't stick to a calendar or disappear after a few good days. It lingers in the quiet moments, in the sounds, in the smells, in the places you shared. And sometimes it comes back with such force. It knocks the air out of your lungs. Amy's emotional collapse isn't weakness. It's proof of how deeply she loved. It's the cost of carrying so much loss for so long. And in that breakdown, we don't see a character falling apart. We see a woman finally letting herself be real. And maybe, just maybe, that moment of emotional truth is exactly what needed to happen. Because sometimes the heart has to break wide open before it can truly begin to heal. Asterisk grief doesn't stay in one room. It travels through walls, across fields, into the quiet spaces between conversations. At Heartland, when Amy begins to unravel after seeing Ty, the air around her shifts. And the people closest to her, Jack, Lou, Lisa, feel it, even if they don't know why at first. Asterisk the ranch has always been more than just a setting. It's a living memory. Every fence post, every barn door, every trail through the pasture carries the marks of Ty's life. That's why when Amy starts to withdraw, when her energy changes, the people who love her don't need words to know something has stirred. Asterisk Jack is the first to notice. He watches Amy from a distance, the way only a grandfather can, quiet, observant, steady. Jack doesn't ask her what's wrong. He doesn't press. Instead, he leans on silence the way only someone who's known deep loss can. He follows her to the barn, brushes a horse beside her, and simply says, "You've got that look again." Asterisk Amy doesn't answer. She doesn't have to. Jack nods like he already knows, not the full truth, but enough to sense that the past has found its way back into her eyes. Asterisk Lou, on the other hand, approaches it differently. She's always been the problem solver, the sister who wants to fix things. When she sees Amy sitting alone outside, staring at the hills where she and Ty once rode, Lou sits beside her with a cup of tea and the beginnings of a conversation. But Amy just shakes her head, and that's all it takes for Lou to stop talking. She doesn't push, and that choice to just be there, not demand answers, speaks louder than any advice could. Asterisk Lisa, with her gentle presence, adds another Layer to the moment. She finds Amy later that evening. Checking on Lindy, Lisa kneels beside her and places a hand over hers. "You're stronger than you know," she whispers, with a tone that makes it clear she's not just trying to comfort her. She believes it. But what's most moving about this episode is how the writers use these characters to reflect different aspects of grief and support. Jack represents stoic wisdom. He knows pain doesn't always need a voice. It just needs space. Lou represents emotional urgency, the drive to understand, to reach out, to help even when the problem can't be fixed. Lisa represents gentle faith, the quiet reassurance that Amy can survive this way just like she survived the others. This dynamic trio doesn't crowd Amy. They don't try to pull her out of her spiral with advice or distractions. They just anchor her, each in their own way, and let her have the room to feel what she's feeling. Meanwhile, Lindy, Amy and Ty's daughter, becomes an unexpected mirror. She doesn't understand everything, but she feels it. Kids always. There's a moment when she climbs into her mother's lap, sensing the sadness without knowing the reason. She wraps her arms around Amy and whispers, "Did you see Daddy again?" Amy's breath catches. She looks at her daughter, stunned. "What did you say?" Lindy nods slowly, as if the question came from a dream. And in that moment, Amy realizes something profound. Whatever Ty's return was, however brief or mysterious, it may not have been just her imagination. Maybe, just maybe, Lindy felt him too. This scene deepens one of the show's core themes: connection beyond the physical. Heartland has always treated love as something that exists beyond time and space, between people, between animals and humans, between the past and the present. Ty's presence in this episode doesn't just impact Amy, it sends ripples through the people closest to her, people who loved Ty in their own way, and who now carry pieces of his memory with them. The writers also weave in themes of memory as healing, that remembering doesn't always reopen wounds. Sometimes it closes them. Support in stillness, that healing doesn't always happen through action, but through presence. The legacy of love, that Ty's influence didn't die with him. It lives in the choices Amy makes, the strength she finds, and the way her family surrounds her when the weight becomes too much. And of course, the biggest theme of all, grief isn't linear. Just when you think you've moved forward, something, a smell, a dream, a moment, pulls you back. But that doesn't mean you're broken. It means you love deeply. In this episode, the ranch feels quieter. The sky looks heavier, the music softer, but there's a sense that something important has shifted. The past has walked through the door, not to haunt, but maybe to help heal. And the people around Amy, they're not there to drag her back to the present. They're there to remind her she doesn't have to walk through the past alone. Heartland Season 19, Episode 1 isn't just a fan service return or a dramatic twist. It's a love letter to the legacy of Ty Borden, to every fan who cried when he died, to everyone who kept watching even when it hurt, to everyone who's ever grieved someone who shaped them. Because grief isn't about forgetting. It's about learning how to live with love that no longer has a face. And sometimes, when the heart is finally ready, that love shows up one more time.